had come together with our California Highway Patrol in 1992. They asked us if we would be interested in partnering with them to start Sober Grads in our county, because the year before we had some pretty major tragedies due to driving under the influence and celebrating on graduation nights. And as you can imagine, there's like a bazillion graduation nights in one county. We actually have 11 schools, high schools, both public and private, involved in the Sober Grad program, and that includes every high school within our county, especially the public high schools, whether it's the eastern part of the county, which is kind of the snowy, hilly side of the county, or our valley floor. So it's kind of an interesting coalition that has lasted as long as it has lasted, and its function is to keep our kids safe on one of the most important nights of their lives. And so when Highway Patrol came to us, we were delighted to do it. Because we're a nonprofit, we are sort of the fundraising side of the event. So we bring all the schools together to do one major campaign, and then the funds are divided out by the senior population of each school at the end of the campaign season. So that part is one side of it. Then the other side of it is the more than 250, 300 volunteers who work on the campaign throughout the year and work on their Sober Grads on their various high school campuses. So it takes approximately 250 volunteers each year to have all the Sober Grads on all the graduation nights. And that is not a small undertaking on all of our volunteers' part. This is the kind of program that without community involvement, we would not be able to do. And it's typically community involvement from what is considered with drug-free communities, the 12 sectors. We have law enforcement who sign up, who support the program throughout the year, but also sign up to be present at each one of those events. So whether it's California Highway Patrol or the Sheriff's Office or our local police department, and even probation will sign up to be present to help do some of the security during those events. Civic groups come together and supply all the food for each one of them. They come and they help, they volunteer at the different activities during each event. The food alone is a mammoth process because there's about 2,500 graduates every year, divided up into those 10 to 11 high schools. So it's a pretty important program. And so far since we've started, we have not had one fatality on a graduation night. And we're very proud of that statistic. And it cannot be done without the generous donations from the community and the business community. And one of the things that is very important to this group is they go out into the community and they raise the funds, which has been, since we started, over $3,600,000 we've raised. They go out and they ask the community for the donations. And then the most important part of it is we will stay within our community to spend those dollars. So you are giving to Sober Grad, but we are also giving back in that we are not going to go outside of our community to get prizes, to get food, to rent different kinds of activities. We're going to do it within our own community with the people who have donated to us. So that's part of the credibility behind the program. The funding supports the actual events of the night. It also, just a little other background, it's not just that Sober Grad night. We do programs throughout the year to support underage drinking prevention messages. So it's different programs that we do throughout the year as well. But that night itself is dedicated solely to the graduate. Once they cross the stage and accept that diploma, they are no longer part of the school district. And so it's our responsibility to not only have the party, but to make the party has insurance, and all of the liability part of it comes back to the coalition. Because the schools do, even though the events are usually held on the school property, they are no longer, the students are no longer the school's responsibility. So that's a big piece of what we need to do, is have the insurance certificates available for them to be able to have the parties at all on their campus. When the parties usually start, or the events usually start following graduation, there's a little bit of time for the student to be with their family after graduation. but we make sure that the parties are run from 10 p.m. to at least 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. the next morning, so that they do cover that strategic time when kids may be in danger after their graduation. So, and it's a lock-in. The students come in, they either are pre-registered or register there. They come in, and once they come in, they're there for the night. If they're going to leave, they will be leaving in the company of a parent or a guardian. They don't leave by themselves. So there's some restrictions that apply to that, to those evenings. They have to be there all night to win the prizes. And there is one grand prize for the entire county. For each one of the events, all the kids' names, all the graduates go into a drawing for each school, and each school draws one name, and that gives us 10 finalists. And on a special night in July, we have a pizza party where we talk about what their Sober Grad was like. And then we draw out one name at a time, and each name that's drawn out wins $100, and the final name in the drawing wins $3,000. So we do a $3,000 scholarship at the end. So to qualify for that, the graduate has to spend all night at their Sober Grad party. Again, another incentive to make sure that they stay there and they're safe. And the lock-in is also an incentive, or is also a guide to make sure that they stay there and stay safe. And then once they're in the party, it is a party. It is a celebration. Sometimes there's little Reno kind of nights, Mardi Gras nights. A lot of the parents go to huge extent with their decorations. We've had them represent different kinds of movies that are popular at the time, whether it was Star Wars or Indiana Jones kind of themes. Just some of the stuff that parents do are absolutely amazing. And so they spend the whole night there doing different activities. There's always bounce houses or sumo wrestling suits or climbing walls. All those kinds of things are brought in and set up for each one of the different events. And that's why it takes so many people to put it on. There's riding bulls. There are things that just go-karts, everything that you can imagine. They can put together. Sometimes they have the event off school location at one of our amusement areas themselves. And so they have free reign in the amusement area itself. So all night long, the kids have dances, music, food, entertainment. And through that whole process, they're winning tons and tons of wonderful prizes, TVs and kayaks and skis and all sorts of things that have been donated by the community. Usually we have 90% of the students go. There is a buy-in on the students' part for most of the high schools. They either, let me back up a bit and explain what the fundraising activity is.
Yep.
There's a certificate in the membership for, let's say it's 2022 Sober Grad. So it's a certificate of membership in the 2002 Sober Grad. And those are sold, a membership certificate for $100 a piece. And each school gets a number of certificates based on their senior population. And so they sell those certificates, and that's the dollars that are raised for them to go out and do the parties or the events. So once that campaign is over with, and there's only 2,000 certificates printed. So there's a limited number of certificates that are printed. Some schools require their students to sell one certificate to give for their ticket into the Sober Grad event. Some schools only charge a minimal amount for the student to go, but there's usually some sort of buy-in by the student. And pre-COVID, we were getting like 90% of the students. Most of the schools have a hardship fund also, that for students that maybe cannot afford to pay for or to get a certificate sold. So there is that aspect of it too. So we've had about 90%. COVID comes along and we can't even have the parties. So our parents, as true parents and parents with a lot of ingenuity do, created an amazing array of activities for kids to do on their Sober Grad or on their graduation days and their nights that we did drive-bys where kids just picked up prizes and picked up coupons for food and packages of all sorts of fun stuff, celebrated with balloons and confetti and ticker tape and all. I mean, there were some amazingly led by CHP, parades led by CHP through the different communities. It was really inspiring to see what parents could come up with to celebrate for their kids. The biggest lesson I've learned through this initiative: never underestimate your coalition members and your volunteers. They will come through in flying colors and work harder for kids than anybody. Their total goal is to keep kids safe, and they will do it no matter what the circumstances are.